welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and at the request of Patreon subscriber John, this is Jeskai Control. Here in the post-Grief era, obviously Psychic Frog is kind of what the format is settling around and the card that is being balanced around, and I'm going to be playing a lot of Frog on the channel. But what if we did the opposite thing and just tried to put up a wall of interaction and hateful stuff that stops Frog from functioning? And that's where Jeskai Control comes in. The exciting new card for this archetype is Wrath of the Skies. White X, you get X energy, then you may pay any amount of energy, destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy paid this way. This is a Wrath of God, this is a Disenchant, this is a Meltdown. I think this is the most efficient multi-permanent sweeper, perhaps ever. Pernicious Deed vibes here, and that card is beloved and still gets sideboard Legacy play today, and Wrath of the Skies is in a better Legacy color, a color that complements those play patterns better, and even better, specifically solves problems that blue-white X control decks have struggled with in the past, like Urza's Saga, or Chalice of the Void, locking out all your cheap interaction. Wrath just handles that. There's a bunch of ways you could build the shell around Wrath of the Skies, and we've seen more dedicated energy shells popping up that play cards like Tune the Narrative, which put energy in your pool so your first Wrath of the Skies can come down faster and be bigger, and that would help you keep up with decks like Eldrazi or really any Ancient Tomb deck. This Ancient Tomb will put a permanent into play that's bigger than your Wrath. Like, if you have to actually pay 6 mana to Wrath away 4-drops, that won't happen for a while. But if you could get that for 4 or even 2 mana after a couple energy bank cards, that becomes very powerful. That's not what's happening in this build, though. I went to the internet and found several trophies from several different players with this build, and I'm going to try it. This one has a bunch of Wraths and the Days Undoing thing going on here. 4 copies of Narset. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. -2, look at your top 4, put a non-creature non-land into your hand. If you Days Undoing into a Narset, your opponent draws 1 card and you draw 7. And then they have to win the game with that 1 card versus your 7 cards and your Planeswalker still in play. This combo has been around for many years in Legacy, but fell out of favor because it just wasn't very good. It was way too slow to compete with something like Grief. Orcish Bowmaster punished decks like this in general. But this does appear to be a build that is having success, so I'm going to revisit it here. Teferi Time Raveler, another card that got basically swept out of the format when Orcish Bowmaster was a 4-of in every deck, which is no longer the case. Teferi can clear the way for your Narset combo to pop off. Teferi's a nice answer to a Psychic Frog. None of Psychic Frog's built-in defenses stop a Teferi from bouncing it, and if they've already discarded any number of cards into it, those counters are just gone. Also, opening up Instant Speed Wrath of the Skies just changes all the math on everything. The appeal to a deck like this, I mentioned Wrath of the Skies at length, but Prismatic Ending, Swords of Plowshare, Supreme Verdict. This is a lot of ways to remove Psychic Frog. Not damage-based, can't be reanimated. It is simply gone out of the game. 4th Air Lingus is your primary win con. I've seen lists with 2 Linguses and no Jace. This list has Jace and 4th Air Lingus, and I love the opportunity to play with Jace. Even if we are in a format where Pyroblast is on the rise, I'm still rocking out with Jace. Lightning Bolt and Unholy Heat are on the decline, though, which are good answers to Jace that are gone from the format. And every card in my deck, for the most part, is blue. I just have Narset, Teferi, Tamiyo, Back to Basics. Like, at some point, you'll run out of Pyroblast that Jace can clean up. And 2 copies of Back to Basics. This is a card that I have a long and tumultuous relationship with. Some of my earliest wins that put me on the map as a Legacy player to watch on the old SCG circuit. I was playing blue-white decks with Back to Basics in the main deck. It was kind of my thing, that these are the decks where the Island Ponder Keep slogan came from. I've been off Back to Basics for several years. I just don't think it's even good in the matchups you'd want it for. However, the resurgence of Eldrazi as a deck we have to beat. Makes a lot of sense to put this in the main. And it's fine versus Dimir and Grixis Frog decks too, making the play on 1 or 2 mana instead of 4 or 5. It's not nothing, but I don't love this versus Daze decks. But if we could keep the pressure off in a bunch of ways and then we have to squeeze them out somehow, it's fine. And you can always just board it out. But clearly this deck is worried about Eldrazi because there's also 2 Harbinger of the Seas and a Ruination to the sideboard. Just no rest for the wicked if you are trying to cast noodle monsters versus this build. And that's Jeskai Control. Let's do it. I'm playing against a Yorion deck, and I'm going to keep my hand. I'm going to be moving and talking quickly because this is likely to go to time. Death and Taxes is kind of back. Did well in a big Japanese tournament recently, but bad news for the Death and Taxes players is that Wrath of the Skies seems almost singularly designed to obliterate their shit. Stoneforge Mystic. I've got Swords to Plowshares for that. That Ponder was actually great. I found the answer to their creature. I can shuffle away the Force of Will on top of my deck. That's not helping me. I have to decide if I want to fetch a Tundra or use Lorien Reveal to do that. I can even ponder and kick the can down the road a little bit. Probably going to do that, actually. Wrath of the Skies. That's the thing I said. I will put Wrath in my hand and pass the turn. This matchup's really just about, like I said, kicking the can down the road until you find something that actually sticks. Ghost Quarter, not good against my deck. Let me tell you. I'm even grateful for the free shuffle, actually. And I'm going to grab Plains. And they might have the Spirit Homie that kills lands, but I'm not even really worried about that. It will Island Cycle. And, I mean, drawing Force of Will makes this 3-for-1 just pretty easy. Well, goodbye all your permanents, and also my Force of Will's back on. Death and Taxes versus Blue-White used to be close. Death and Taxes experts swore it was positive. I always swore it was positive from the Blue-White side. And here we see my opponent just conceding on turn 4 because all their permanents are dead. Game changer. A matchup that was once close simply is not. A Consigned to Memory I found I actually really like versus Death and Taxes. They have the baubles and the vials and the equipment, but then their deck is just built around triggered abilities. Triggering the Return All Your Permanents ability on the back end of Yorion is just nutso. You just get a Plague Win sometimes. I don't like Back to Basics versus Taxes. Yeah, we're generally... This sideboard is not built for them because I don't think we need the help. Sometimes Taxes is 2 or 3 colors if they have black for Orcish Bowmaster and Emperor of Bone. Sometimes they even have red on top of black for things like Magus of the Moon. But Back to Basics, I'm just not that interested in. I liked it more back when Death and Taxes was actually built around Rashadenport and squeezing you out over time with an Aether Vial, but that's not how the deck is built anymore. They don't even play Thalia anymore. There's like 1 in the sideboard of some lists that have come out. And that's just not the game I think I'm going to win. I think I'm going to win this game. Every time I cast this card, I think the game is going to end. Let's go. Okay, 1 land and no selection of any kind. I'm actually going to mulligan this. This is just bad. Here we go. Now I'm in. Do I want to keep a Consign or get rid of a Plow? And Consign is mostly the same thing as Plow in terms of making a creature less potent than it could be. Okay, we're getting a turn without an Aether Vial or anything in play. Back in the actual Miracles days, like with top, the Death and Taxes player, the onus was on them to present enough pressure that Swords to Plowshares, Snapcaster Swords to Plowshares didn't completely eviscerate them, but then hold things back enough that Terminus didn't completely eviscerate them. And they had to find that thin line to walk on. And having Wrath of the Skies in the pile, I'm getting similar vibes right now. Stoneforge Mystic gets Lion Sash. I'm still going to plow this just so there's no pressure on board and I can stick this Narset unmolested. I'm going to run out the Volcanic Island. I don't actually have any red cards in my deck. All right, 4th Aerolingus, and like if Prismatic Ending needs to get to 3, but if they want a Wasteland in this position, that's fine. Narset, load me up. Taste Undoing right off the tippity top. Okay, now they are under pressure to answer this Narset, which they can do. They do play cards like Skyclave Apparition. All right, I mean, they are not going to get where they want to go on this non-basic land destruction. I tutored an island because if they ghost quarter me, I want my other planes. Ghost quartering me seems like a mess, though. They should just be playing out their cards so they have presence on board when I undo their day. Okay, draw for turn. Flooded Strand. Fetch. How do I want to do this? I could get Tundra just to leave my basic strong. I'm about to delete their hand. Lion Sash won't have any permanents to exile. I guess they could Ghost Quarter, then there'd be two to... Yeah, Lion Sash will be bigger than White Orchid Phantom. White Orchid Phantom is better to flicker, though. I'm going to remove one of them, then cast Days Undoing. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the Sash. And then undo the day. I could have even just played Control and exiled another creature, but the wheel gets a lot worse when they're already hellbent. And they put pressure on Narset so she can't keep digging. Do they have a card to play? They could at least reach for Yorion. They didn't do that. Force of Will in my hand now. Could just send a Lorien Revealed, but I have so many cards I don't even want to do that. Yeah, I'm just going to land pass. Having up Stern Scolding, Swords of Plowshares. Could even hardcast Force of Will. Okay, and now I can plow and still have mana up. Get the other planes. Take the pressure off. Still holding up Force now. Ephemerate, look at you. That was a cool trick. Ephemerate Rebound gets countered, but yeah, I'm just going to Force Will this. I'm going to grab Tundra to keep my colors up. And now they can draw a card with Vexing Bauble, wish for Yorion, and try to rebuild. Yep, drawing with Bauble now while they can. They can't do that on their turn because Narset will punish. I wonder if they only play one Ephemerate, because if they don't, it would have been right to Bauble in response to my Force. Coast is clear for Lorien Revealed. There's the Lingus. Tameo doesn't matter versus Caracas, unfortunately. Yeah, I'll just play Flooded Strand and pass. And we're done. That was a 9-minute and 20-second match versus Death of Texas. I said at the start, I better move fast because this frequently goes to time. Turns out when you have multi-permanent sweepers and a combo kill, this could go a lot faster. That was refreshing. Let's go. Jeskai control rules.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
On the draw for round 2, Island, Ponder, Keep. I have mana to cast spells. I have the option to select for different things. The one of Lingus is here, which you don't usually want to see until later. I'm just going to cast Ponder. I'm never playing around Stifle unless my opponent shows me one already in the game. And blue-white is the color of Dreadnought right now. If they stifle me, that would be really good, but that's just such a weird and rare card. Wasteland into the graveyard. This might actually be Dreadnought. There aren't that many decks that play Meticulous Archive and Wasteland. Another Ponder. I have some removal already. I don't really like this Prismatic Vista, but I think these cards are good enough on their own. I have Lorien Revealed that can shuffle as well if Vista gets stifled. A Wasteland. Okay, good chance we'll see a Doorkeeper Thrall this turn. I'm going to cast Ponder. Swords of Plowshares, Prismatic Ending. I like all of these. Swords in my hand, planes in play, go. Wowie, we almost got. Now it's the difficult decision. Do I plow this now? I think I just do, because if they daze it, they have to pick up Meticulous Archive, which is an ETB tapped land. If they have Force, they have it beat anyway. That's fine. Okay. And I can sweep up any number of Dreadnoughts they play with my Wrath of the Skies for 1. And if they don't Wrath of the Skies, I'll just end their Thrall and not worry about it. Kept a card on top. A Prismatic Vista. I don't think I want to shove Teferi here. I think I just want to end this thing. Though I should play around the the Daze trick. If I play Prismatic Ending and then they wasteland my fetch land, I fetch in response and they daze me, they could keep their card. Oh, I could just do this. Basic Mountain's on top of my deck. I'm not going to miss that. I'd love to get this Teferi in, but I can afford to play around Daze, so I will. Prismatic Ending. Force of Will. They are in on this. I saw the life total change. Force Pitching Ponder. Okay. I'm going to cycle Lorien Revealed now, so they can't stifle that. Just get another basic island. I'm ready to Wrath the Skies. They've used 2 counterspells already. Now I kind of hope they do play out 2 Dreadnoughts. I'm not in great shape versus land Null Drifter. Like, that's going to draw 2 cards and leave a 7-drop in play. That does appear to be what they're gearing up for. Yikes, I hate this. Okay. That was the correct payoff to have. I have to decide how I'm going to deal with this. Hopefully I just draw Swords to Plowshares and life is easy. Brainstorm. Okay. I'm going to play Teferi, leaving up white. I've played around Daze. If they have another force, holy smokes. All right. It's falling apart. We might just lose at this point. The triple piece of interaction and the correct payoff all work together to put me in the spot where now my permanents are going to get annihilated. I think I'm going to sack an island here. Oh no, another Null Drifter? Okay, well, this was the perfect rollout to take apart a hand with... They did a great job getting through this. I cast 3 white removal spells and they beat all of them. And turned it around to win, despite the fact I'm holding a Wrath. Sick. And the Annihilator's so busted. I would prefer to take 13 here than 5 and get annihilated for 1. There's no Terminus to flip here. There's no... I just lost my 4th land, so the 1 of Supreme Verdict's not going to save me. I have to brainstorm into 2 Swords to Plowshares. And 1's already used. They did not shuffle their Ponder. Flooded Strand. I found a Swords to Plowshares. Okay, if I put back Wrath of the Skies and Force of Will is just not going to help. I could 4th Aerlingus just to make permanents, but that fetches into Wasteland. That doesn't get me where I want to go. Yeah, I mean, Force of Negation's bad. Lingus is bad. I guess keeping Force Blue card back is the least terrible thing I can do here. I'm going to plow a Null Drifter. Fetch. Nowhere near Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, removing Doorkeeper Thrall. And I will force a Daze here. I'm all in. Okay, we got through that. Okay, now Teferi's live. Swords of Plowshares is live. Oh god, they're tapping a bunch of mana. What do they have at this point? Okay, just evoking Null Drifter. They could find Stifle and push it through. I'll have to force a Stifle. Okay, it's gone. We did it. We faded 1. Now I think I actually sack Plains, because cantrip into plow gives me more outs here, and I don't think there's a double white card that I could cast that would matter here. The Supreme Verdict I can't cast on 3 mana no matter what it is. This mana casts Narset that could dig for the plow. I got 2 more draw steps this game. Another Force of Negation's not it. I technically have to play this out because I could draw plow next turn. But I'm at 2 with 2 mana. And they have 6 cards in hand. Sack one of the islands. And draw for turn. Big draws. Oh, that was a big draw. I'm going to pass into their turn, because then Force of Negation is on. If they fetch in the end step, I think I'll plow in response so they can't hardcast a force. All right, we're in the upkeep. Plow this. They know I just drew that, or else I would have done it last turn. How many counterspells left in their hand? Force of Will, pitching Ponder. Force of Negation, pitching Force of Negation. Brainstorm, they're digging. This is 3 of their 4 Force of Wills. Plow back on the stack. Fetching in response, oh no. What's going on here? Has this deck adopted Ephemerate? I don't even think that's good in the deck, but it would get me here, and we just played against one. And the board is clear, but I have 2 mana to play the entire rest of this game on. They're dressing down in their upkeep. Okay. Could slam a Dreadnought here. You're still in your upkeep, homie. You still got to draw and everything. But they were already tapping colorless mana. There's a Dreadnought coming. There it is. Okay, I have, well, like 2 outs to this. There's 1 plow, I think 1 ending still in the deck. All right, you got me. That was an exciting match. Came down to just an insane barrage of counterspells on my barrage of removal spells into the correct payoff. Consigned to Memory counters Dreadnought. I don't think I care that much about that specifically. I'm very good at killing Dreadnought. Very bad at killing Null Drifter. This does counter Null Drifter and the trigger. That's big, actually. I'm not trying to back to basics this deck. Stern Scolding does hit the Thrall. Teferi turns off every Stifle adjacent effect in their deck. I don't think Force of Negation is very good. I think Force of Will is fine. Jace bounces Dreadnoughts. Wrath of Sky is a banger against their deck. Or at least 2/3 of their deck. Not a banger versus Null Drifter. I could get Pyroblast in here over Force of Negation. And I would need to find another cut if I want 2, and 2 cuts if I want 3. Dress Down and Stifle and Consigned to Memory are all big parts of their deck. I don't think I can cut 4th Aerlingus because then I have to win the game with Jace. There's just no way to win the game. Tameo, even Ultimate, like doesn't deal damage or kill my opponent. Narza, Teferi, same thing. I literally have 2 ways to actually end the game here. I could play without the Days Undoing if I don't think comboing them out is going to be the out. And I think that's true. I think I'm out of cuts for the 3rd Reb. But I'm glad I have 2 in there. I could go the other way and play 3 Rebs, 2 Consigns. That might be better. I'm flipping that. Red mana is not exactly easy to come by in my deck, though. Or blue mana is plentiful. I am submitting this deck, but just I am aware that it's really hard to cast 2 Pyroblasts in the same turn if I happen to draw 2 at the same time. Once again, the Lingus is in my opening hand. I don't think I can rely on 1 fetch land to play the game versus the aggressive Stifle Wasteland Daze deck. I'm going to mulligan. Can't escape it. Just glued to my opening hand. I wanted to board it out, and I would have if I thought I could win the game without it, but here it is showing up twice. Mulliganing this too. Jesus Christ. Straight to 4. All right, we found a hand. Force of Will's gone. Basic Mountain is gone. And I guess Pyroblast has to go. That sucks. Okay, well, that was horrendous. I'm going to get Basic Island and cast Ponder. Basic Mountain, Reb, Wrath. And I like these cards well enough. Like I said, red mana is hard to come by. There's only 1 basic source of it. And I just pondered into a Reb and the means of casting it. None of that matters at all if they just go Thrall into Null Drifter again. I am ice cold to that line. Meticulous Archive fetched. We also saw a main deck Consigned to Memory, which is really interesting because that slot has to go somewhere. And if my opponent is playing Consigned to Memory because it's a better card against the field than Stifle is, the Stifle slots have probably diminished. Okay, I have access to my 3rd color of basic. My lands don't cast Wrath of the Skies, even if this Flooded Strand works. And I'm going to fetch now. For planes, I can blast this now so they don't even draw a card, or I could blast it in response to them casting their spell and try to get a blowout. I think I would rather just not give them a card and not give them the ability to fight back. Though I did potentially give up a 2-for-1, but on the mult of 4, we take what we can get. I'm just glad that wasn't a Thrall. Okay, there's the 2nd white source. If they're on a Dreadnought plan, I can function. Okay, we're all just playing land go. I don't like their 6 cards in hand to my 2, but I do have resources under me. Thrall's in. Please just play 3 Dreadnoughts. Play 6 Dreadnoughts, I don't care. Shit, we've lost. I recorded with this deck a little while ago. Their deck. And I had some Yahoo in the comments like really passionate that Null Drifter sucks, and this set has shown why that's definitely not true. A basic planes, and I'm going to start with Prismatic Ending on Dreadnought, because if they have 1 counter spell, I think they're likely to spend it here, and then the Wrath is the better one. And then if this just resolves, it's mostly the same. Okay, Force Pitching Daze has happened, and then reveal the last card in my hand to get Tundra. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to get an extra energy because I don't want to get dazed. All right, yeah, they just had double force. Sick. Yeah, we were obliterated there. I think this matchup is pretty well suited to Jeskai control. Like if you had me select from a menu of matchups I would like to play against as I register Jeskai for a tournament. I think I would be pretty high on this one. Like, if you just give me the top 20 decks and they're like, you have to play against 9 of these at a tournament weekend, pick 9 different decks, I would definitely put this on my list. But that was a showcase of how it can all go wrong. Nice Maul to 4. Punted that one. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
On the draw for round number 3, this is a 1-lander I can keep, as Ponder is better off 1 land than Brainstorm is. Also, Lauren Revealed is here. Seems we're playing against some Eldrazi of sorts. Devourer of Destiny Revealed. Exiled Cavern, Wasteland, Wastes. That's a lot of lands gone. This is exactly the matchup where I am most excited to have back to basics in my deck somewhere that I can dig for and try to make a plan out of. I like this Force of Will. I will keep that. They just pitched a Cavern to Devour, which might mean they don't need it, or might mean that they just needed to do something else with that. It's hard to know this early. Sowing might go spawn. They get to tutor a land. I guess we see what land they tutor first. Drowsy Temple. I'm not worried about this 3/3 in play as much as I'm worried about their next play. I think I need to get access to white mana. They didn't tutor Cavern there either. They either just are on the full send that I don't have counter magic, or they're sandbagging a second Cavern. Okay, they're passing. I believe I know the top of my deck and that it's not helpful. I hope I remember that correctly. Swords to Plowshares. Another Force of Will. Okay, I am going to invest in a Narset because we got to get digging. Dig, dig, dig. Prismatic Ending, Supreme Verdict. I like a Supreme Verdict. Way more than I like a Prismatic Ending. Do you know how much these things cost? That's the cheap one. It costs 4. Gonna need to come up with a Plains. Hardcast Once Upon a Time in the end step. When I wisely can't force some negation it. They found Thought Not Seer. And they did have the Cavern. Not surprising the way this game has unrolled, but disappointing all the same. And this is a game where having the extra tune the narratives to ramp out those Rathas guys would be so good. But instead, I'm just sitting on my hands, waiting to die. Brainstorm, let's go. How about some Swords to Plowshares, though? I play those in large numbers. Put back Force of Negation and one of the many Narsets. And then fetch. Can I afford to get a Tundra? I don't think so. I don't think I can afford to get Wastelanded. I'm just going to Brainstorm and hope there's a plow in here. Holy smokes. Okay, even on 5 mana, Wrath of the Skies is only good for 3, and their permanents all cost 4, so I got to find ways to survive the next couple turns. I'm going to put back Flooded Strand and one of the Forces. I'm going to cycle Lorien Revealed this turn, and that's going to be the last turn I get, unless I find a Swords to Plowshares pretty quick. Yeah, one Tune the Narrative would have completely changed this game, and it's just not a card I have. I guess I should get Volcanic Island here, just in case I draw 4th Aerlingus. I could just play it for 3 blockers. Yeah, I'll grab that. Flooded Strand. All right, I'm going to cast Narset and dig for Swords to Plowshares. Holy smokes. Not only did I find Plow, it was the only thing I could find. That's lucky. And I'll be at 4 next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to play this Flooded Strand to get myself closer to Wrath for 4. This Devourer can kill Narset, but so can Combat. And Eldrazi is being cast. Another Thought Not Seer. Well, I mean, I'm obviously plowing the one that can attack, and I'm doing it right now. Drew another plow. Lucky. Fetch. Get Tundra. Let this Thought-Knot Seer resolve. And I could just plow this and keep Narset alive. I could plow this, which keeps Narset alive, or I could plow this, which draws me a card, but then they take a card from my remaining cards. I think I'm higher in on Narset, actually. Let's keep Narset around. They can take Wrath here, which now can kill Thought-Knot Seer, but I get to dig. Fingers crossed, big time. If they've been sandbagging a Wasteland, then they're not worried about Wrath. Yeah, okay. Once Upon a Time, I'm not going to force that, even though it is scary. Because this can get Wasteland, which I'm now exposed to. Sowing Myco Spawn. Come up with. Alright, Narset can find removal or back to basics here. Narset plus Ponder finding both removal and back to basics would be great. Alright, there's back to basics. Let's go. Put that in the tank. Ponder looking for a removal spell. If I find Plow also this turn, let's go. Starting to turn it around. Do not shuffle my deck. Do play back to basics. Do play Volcanic Island. And I'm just going to hold up this Plow. I can cast it whenever, it's fine. This locks out the Cavern, and they've left these forces in my hand throughout the game. Devourer of Destiny can eventually kill back to basics if they get 7 mana. Like, if they attack Narset here, I don't care about plowing. Alright, I will lock down my Tundra to stay stable and get the card, because I know I'm not drawing anything super useful for a while. Nice. Alright, we got a turn without them casting a banger. And all I can do here is pass and hope that life holds out for a while. My next draw is random. Prismatic Ending. Not good. This is where I want Jace. This is where I want Lingus. This is where we flip it and get him dead. Except that the deck is very bad at doing that because it only has 2 win conditions in it. Blast Zone. Okay, that doesn't kill back to basics because you have to tap it to get there. That is mana number 6 out of 7 to cast that Devourer of Destiny, though. Oh, wow. They're spending mana on Sowing Myco Spawn. And I can't stop this from happening. Yeah, I guess what just happened there is they traded this temporary 1 mana source for this temporary 2 mana source. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, yeah, that does work. Story checks out. I think I have to hardcast Force on this, which locks down Volcanic Island for another turn, but it leaves me with Force for the 6/6 body that kills me in 1 hit. Except I found Jace the Mind Sculptor. Let's go. I am gonna Brainstorm. Tamiyo to Fairy. These prismatic endings are pretty embarrassing. Fetch. Tamiyo. They can kill back to basics this turn with the Devourer. And then I have a turn to dig up the other one. Devourer of Destiny. Killing back to basics, naturally. And might as well force this because the Cavern will be back on next turn unless I find the other piece. I start by attacking with Tamiyo. Let's get that clue in the mix. How much mana do I need for my sequence here? So pop the clue, gets me a card deeper. Brainstorm with Jace gets me 3 cards deeper. Yeah, I can afford to pop the clue. I'm going to do that. Ponder can go even deeper. I can shuffle. Yeah, Ponder is the correct sequence first. Mystic Sanctuary, Force of Negation, Prismatic Ending, no. Shuffle this. It also flips Tamiyo. That was going to happen no matter what. Brainstorm with Jace. Tough beats. I still have a Ponder. Put back these endings. Ponder, find me the goods, maybe. Source of Plowshares is a good card, but not what I'm looking for. Shuffle using Ponder, Wrath of the Skies. Not it. And here's Teferi. I think I just want to draw a card. Another Teferi. Alright. Now the shields are down for a turn. They have 6 cards in hand. They can exactly activate Eye of Ugin. Glaring Fleshraker. This might kill me in 1 shot. I'm at 4. Herald puts me to 3. Or no, puts me to 2. Even worse. No, I'm just so fucking dead here. They just need to cast a spell. Any spell at all. There's Eldrazi mana in the Cavern. That means it's already over. Alright, I'm dead. Disappointing. But that's why the sideboard is constructed as it is, because this is horrendous. 6 insanely powerful sideboard cards coming in, though. Force of Negation, terrible. Prismatic Ending, pretty terrible. They would need Chalice of the Void for me to care about Prismatic Ending because it hits no other permanent. I kind of like Days Undoing. I like Lingus. I like Force of Will, even though they are a Cavern deck. That's what Back to Basics is for. It's all part of a system. Stern Scolding hits the Fleshraker and the Herald, but not any other card in the deck. I think Teferi to get instant speed interaction is good. Yeah, this is how I'm going to do this. Let's go. This hand is not very good. It doesn't select. Force of Will's bad. Swords to Plowshares is medium. This hand doesn't even cast Narset. Okay, I'm aware of and accept the risks, and I'm going to keep the hand. I'm not happy about it, but I don't think going to 6 is necessarily better. Temple, pass. Consign to memory, okay. That's a good one to find. And that means I'm playing Tundra. I was going to play Mystic Sanctuary if I just drew a blank there. If they spend the turn wastelanding me, that's okay. That's just time I get to operate. Thought Not Seer. I don't remember that at all. Harbinger of the Seas. Tough beats. I can cast that next turn. I'm going to pass and hope that Force of Will plus Swords to Plowshares gets me to a spot where their lands are all islands. You have a Maya. Okay, I can plow that or ignore it. Fine with either of those outcomes. Yeah, I'll just go to my turn and play Harbinger. Ooh. Do I fetch red first? I guess I might as well. Lingus is in the deck. Leave up the white, play the Harbinger. I can force a dismember. And they didn't dismember me. That's good news. Cavern of Souls naming nothing. We got him. I am obviously not blocking. Another plow. Sick. Narset. Dig. I'm going to put just any blue card in my hand here. I'm going to get Ponder. And attack back for 2. Okay, we're doing it. Got the hooks in. Just going to plow this because I don't want Narset taking any damage. I want to dig again. Lotus Petal doesn't sack for colorless. Narset activation. Back to basics. Just covering all our bases. Get it? I can cast Ponder now. Tamiyo, what's up? Alright. I'm going to put Tamiyo in my hand. Play the Scalding Tarn. Cast Tamiyo. And I'm not going to cast Back to Basics because that actually locks out my blue mana. I don't have any basic islands in play. And even though they're islands, they're still non-basic. Attack. I could Brainstorm, which flips Tamiyo immediately. I could just crack Clue. I could also just pass the turn with Hardcast Force available. I'm going to do that. I have Ugin. They're at 6 mana. At 7, they start representing cards like Null Drifter that don't require colorless mana to cast. They're representing cards like All Is Dust. I'm just going to pass again. I'm okay drawing 2 cards a turn while we try to hold the fort behind this Harbinger. Chalice of the Void. I'm going to crack a Clue in response to that. Lorien Revealed. Might as well Brainstorm then. That flips Tamiyo, put back Volcanic Island, and Lorien Revealed. I don't have shuffles. I'm just going to redraw all these cards anyway. And that resolves. Plus Tamiyo. Attack for 2. I think I want to re-Narset here to clear the bad cards off the top of my deck. Jace the Mind Sculptor and Consign to Memory. Well, Jace is a good one. That actually wins the game. Just immediately start Fate Sealing them. Clearing Fleshraker, you can have that. I will leave them with any uncastables I can. The cards I'm worried about at this point are things that specifically don't take colorless mana to cast. Gaia's Cradle, you can keep that. Ironically, taps for 1. Attack with Harbinger. And I'm going to have Tamiyo buy back Consign, because I can cast that through Chalice. There's no reason to activate Narset here. I'm going to discard Swords to Plowshares. Ponder is probably a better discard, but it's mostly irrelevant. Gaia's Cradle's in play. Jacia. Thought Not Seer, you can have that. Plus Tamiyo, attack. Discard Ponder in the end step. I could also cycle. No, I'm going to do this, actually. I am never going to cast that Lorien Revealed, and I can skip going to discard if I just make a land drop. That's better. Jacia. Once Upon a Time. I am not going to put that on the bottom. and plus Tameo. Attack with Harbinger. Discard Ponder in the end step. There's a blue mana in their pool. All right, Once Upon a Time off the Lotus Petal. Go for it. I guess if they find Wastes, that's kind of devastating, and they do have one. All right, yeah, maybe I should have countered that, actually. No, that's not even true, because I can counter their next 2 spells, and I'm Jaceing their draw step. That's actually close. Hey! Jacia. Herald can stay on top. And how about we just get the game over? Lingus. Cool. A clean win based on locking them out of playing the game, which is the only way we can beat them. I don't think my sideboard changes player draw. Chalice of the Void confirmed. I still have all these Wrath of the Skies and Teferis in here. I don't think I want Prismatic Ending as an answer to that. As we saw, we can just play the game through a Chalice relatively okay. Yeah, I like Wrath as my answer to that. And I could have even forced it if I cared, which I didn't. Same deck, let's go. Now we're on the draw, where everything's harder. I will keep my hand a little slow, but it gets the basic setup, sees a bunch of cards. Island Ponder. Consign Force of Will. I'm going to put Force on top of my deck so I can use it next turn, and I have Consign ready for the turn after that, which will bridge me into Teferi, and then we'll see what the game looks like after that. I don't think I'm forcing a Once Upon a Time. That's just such a soul read if you ever actually do that successfully. Flesh Raker, and they can cast more spells this turn, which I hate, but I'm actually going to pitch Teferi. I have more faith in Brainstorm this game. Shit. Well, I'm glad they don't have 2 of those, but that still sucks. And they can cast more spells now. Jeez, that's a lot of those. Really glad I fought over the first one. Might just die here. Consign to Memory. I can Wrath away the Spawns and Petals next turn. It's a long way off from getting the Flesh Rakers. I'm just deciding if I should Brainstorm here. Yeah, I think I should. They did not show me a Cavern. Put back Mystic Sanctuary and Tundra. That was a really bad Brainstorm. I was looking for a Swords to Plowshares. Probably have to fetch Tundra this turn. Hope they don't play a Wasteland. I'm at 11, and they didn't play any cards. I'm going to fetch in my upkeep. Tundra, draw, another Consign. What does that even do? And I could sweep up the Spawn and the Petal and hold up Consign for a turn. It doesn't seem promising. Attune the Narrative would be huge right now. I think I'm going to play Plains and leave up double Consign or Consign with up to triple Replicate. Because I can counter the whatever they cast and the trigger from the 2 Flesh Rakers. Okay, something's happening. It's like a 6-drop. Mycospawn, Cotton Queso. All right. Well, I have to decide which of these I'm most worried about. All right, 1, 2, 3. Consign with Replicate. Counter the Exile My Land thing. That definitely has to happen. They're about to deal 2, 4, 6 to me. I'm at 4. And then they attack. All right, so I have to counter the actual body as well, or the make a 0/1. That doesn't sound good, though. I'll be at 2 either way. Yikes. And if they have any colorless spell in their hand, I lose. Definitely countering the get rid of my land thing. Search your library for a land. If they get Gaia's Cradle here, they can throw their whole life at me. And this body triggers the same as this body, so I just get rid of the bigger body. I mean, this Consign to Memory is insane, but I'm also still just dead. Triple Glaring Flesh Raker on turn 2. Hard to come back from. I'm at 6 life. They attack me to 2. If they cast any spell, even Lotus Petal's lethal here. And there is mana in the pool. Wow, that matchup's bad. Okay. Yeah, that felt really bad. It makes perfect sense that there are 5 devastating moon effects in the list, including 2 in the main. Really, really, really felt the lack of other sources of energy this game. If I could have tuned the narrative on turn 1 and then swept up their whole board on turn 3, instead of that being a 5 mana play, I think I win on the spot if I could sweep up the 2 Flesh Rakers and everything else. But not a thing included in this deck. Obviously, tune the narrative, which, by the way, 1 blue, draw a card, get 2 energy is what that is. 1 blue, draw a card is not a legacy playable bar for a cantrip, but with 3 Wraths in the main and Eldrazi being in the format, you might just want that extra boost, even if it's just like 2 of them. Do we need 2 Force of Negations main? Maybe one of those. I hate to cut like a Ponder or Brainstorm. I don't think this deck can afford to do that. But I don't know. 2 Prismatic Ending. Maybe put all the Force of Negations in the sideboard and play 2 tunes. Maybe you just rework the deck and it doesn't look like this. Like the Narsets into Fairies, if you're not playing Days Undoing, you don't need 4 Narset. And then the Energy Shell just looks different. But yeah, it would have been huge to just have 2 energy in my pool from another source in that whole match, game 1 and game 3. On to the next round.
We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league.
I'm on the play in round 4. I think I have to mulligan this. That's close. If they're just not a Wasteland deck, this hand's great. I'll keep it for science. Other than my 1 land being Tundra, I think this hand is fine. And if one of the Brainstorms was a Ponder, I would also keep. Tundra go. Meticulous Archive tapped. Discarding Brain Surge. Oh yeah, we are in the blue-white mirror today, kids. Another Tundra rewarded immediately. Teferi's really good. And I suspect Plow and Wrath will both be pretty bad. So getting a shuffle through here. I'm going to put that Wrath in for later. And then cast this Ponder to shuffle the Brainstorm. Unless it finds a land, then I'll just keep it. Jamming a Teferi in a blue-white mirror is pretty good. This is a shuffle. And we shuffled up to the Wrath. Cool. Motobug. Ponder from the opponent. Basic Island. Yo. Fetch. Let's do it. I could grab my Mountain here just to be Lingus ready. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to get an Island. And just hurl Teferi into play with Reckless Abandon. They forced me, which means they don't have something like Spell Pierce. That's good news. I'm going to force you back. Emergency Brainstorm. And Teferi's in. I'm going to draw a card immediately. In case they do something like stick Narset or just Prismatic Ending this or whatever the things that could do to my poor Teferi, I want to get a card out of it right away. Oh, Prismatic Ending's not happening. Blue-white deck confirmed. Doing the narrative. Jelly. Okay, so we are going to see this build of this deck in action. If you don't have all those Narsets and shit around, you can do stuff like play Brain Surge and tune the narrative. I'm going to Brainstorm here. My hand is just bad. Okay, put back Basic Island and one of the Wraths. I don't need 2 Wraths. I don't need Plow either, but I definitely don't need 2 Wraths. I can cast Ponder at instant speed, but I think I am just going to do it now. Ugh. I like Force of Will starting next turn, but I don't like all these other cards. I don't want Ending or Plow. All right, I'm going to shuffle this. We are running out of gas here. This is a feature of Control Mirrors. If you've both just stacked your decks wildly to beat a card like Psychic Frog, it starts to look pretty embarrassing when your opponent just doesn't have a card like that in their deck. What's not embarrassing, though, is me playing back to basics here. This will restrict when and how they use their mana. Brainstorm. Okay, let's take another shot at this. Can we get rid of these bad white cards yet? Another back to basics. Swords of Plowshares is going, and it's either Ending or Wrath. Like, Wrath could sweep up something like 4th Aerolingus if they send it. Prismatic Ending is better versus something like Counterbalance. I guess they're comparable versus Counterbalance. Alright, I'll keep the Wrath. Plus Teferi, pass the turn. They're cracking a fetch. Here we go. Here come their basics. Brain Surge, draw 4, put 2 back. You can have that. The whole, do you counter the Factor Fiction, or do you try to beat the cards that come out of Factor Fiction dilemma is a lot easier when you have Teferi in play. You just care about way less. I did just choose to get Basic Plains instead of Volcanic Island, which will look silly if I rip 4th Aerolingus, but that being one card in my deck versus everything else that I could come up with in a turn cycle, I don't feel too bad about that. The Ponder's on the stack. Opponent seems to be in the tank about it. And I found 4th Aerolingus immediately, rewarded for my sloppiness. Okay, I am going to take Tameo, and then I'm going to Am I going to play Tamiyo? I could also just bounce back to basics here, and then it's another card in my hand for future brainstorm stuff, and then I can hardcast Force of Will without being worried about it next turn. If I play Tamiyo, then minus Teferi, Tamiyo will flip. Yeah, I'm doing that. And I am not going to bounce. Well, maybe I am. Am I going to bounce back to basics? What do I think the chances are that they are sitting on? All right, I am going to bounce back to basics. Because I'm trying to get access to red mana here, and my best way to fetch it is Volcanic Island. There's just a pause in their draw step. I think they drew a miracle. Prismatic Ending my Tamiyo, that's fine. Fetching with Flooded Strand. Arid Mesa deployed. Suddenly a lot of stuff happening. Entreat the Angels for X equals 1. Wrath of the Skies clears that out, resolves. I don't care about that at all. Okay, plus Jace. I'm actually going to go back to basics here. I tricked them. And then I'm going to plow their Angel. I think I said Jace. I meant Teferi. You all know what I meant. But that was a dirty trick to get a couple of their lands tapped. Picking up the basics made them do that. And then they just put Entreat back on top. They're going to try to send it again. I'm going to Wrath it this time. Obviously, I'm eating my words from not fetching Volcanic Island that one time, but I got tricked by my own back to basics. This game could have been over 2 turns ago. Ooh, Wrath of the Skies X equals 2. This kills artifacts, creatures, enchantments. All right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, they killed my back to basics. Wasn't really using it. Plus Teferi. Just chilling. Elbow tapping for Entreat the Angels again. X equals 2 this time. They're getting better. And Brainstorm. I'm saving Force of Negation because their deck is full of powerful spells, and Wrath of the Skies doesn't do very much. End step. Wrath for X equals 4. Just putting some energy in the bank. But the value of X will be 0. So just keep that energy for later. And we drew the thing. The game is over. Volcanic Island, Lingus. Entreat the Angels versus 4th Air Lingus is pretty embarrassing in terms of card quality. But if you're just blue-white, it obviously is a different thing. Blue spell off the top. Sick. All right, double force going into their turn where they're dead on board. They flip Terminus. Good reveal. Can't cast it because of Teferi. You can cast it now. I'm going to force some negation pitching back to basics, and then we win. I think I win this game if I let that resolve too. It's just going to take a while, and why would I do that? Back to basics out for sure. Source of Plowshares out in large numbers. Pyroblast in. Consigned to memory. Miracle is a trigger. I don't think I'm worried about that. But also just look at how many cards I want to take out versus what we've got here. Purify the Grave and Surgical Extraction. They did show me Mystic Sanctuary loops is part of their plan. I normally don't like bringing in Surgical in fair matchups, but I think it's actually fine here. I did not see a red source at any point. I think the consigns are better than the plows. Prismatic Ending gets planeswalkers and counterbalances and things of that nature. Wrath of the Skies sweeps up any number of angel tokens. My forces are all good because I'm trying to shove through something like Teferi or Narset that breaks the game. Yeah, I'm in for this. Do I need 3 Wraths, or can I get the other consign in? Do I think the other consign is better than the Wrath? Probably. Okay, let's go. Okay. Teferi and Days Undoing. I find myself a Narset and we're gaming. Tundra. Pass. Ponder. Found Volcanic Island right away. That's good for all the red blasts I boarded in. There's one now. What fun. I forgot to cut Supreme Verdict. Maybe I didn't forget. Maybe it was correct to be in, but I definitely didn't think about it in sideboarding, though it is another clean answer to a large Entreat of Angels. Turning the narrative. I'm way less worried about that than if I was a deck with permanence. Ponder. And certainly in this pseudo mirror match, I'm happier with the deck I have than the deck they have. But also, last round I would have rather had their deck. So pros and cons, just, it's not about right or wrong, it's about what's the meta this week. Okay, Vista can come in. I think I'm going to try to go for Teferi on a turn where I can also Pyroblast to back him up. They're searching their brain. Again, it's scary to let a Fact or Fiction style effect resolve, but they can't shuffle this. That was mostly just divination. paused in their draw step. They set up a miracle and then didn't use it. This can clear the bad card that's left on top. Another Terminus, cool. Ponder. Here, I would love to draw a land that's not Mystic Sanctuary. I will play Mystic Sanctuary if I have to, but I'd rather draw a different land. We did it. Fetch for basic planes. And do I want the other basic planes? Not really, but I think it's what I have to fetch here. Any control player would see what I'm doing from a mile away, leaving up the red on the Teferi turn. It's very clear what I'm doing, but it's also really good, so I'm going to do it. Flusterstorm, okay. And I'm going to Force of Will, their Force of Will, pitching my Supreme Verdict. And they appear to be F6 from here. These are resolving very quickly. We win the Teferi fight. I'm going to draw a card immediately. Still holding up Force Blue card. Now all their miracles are off. Mystic Sanctuary is getting back. Probably Brain Surge. What is this? Ponder, okay. So they're going for efficiency rather than raw card advantage. Snapcaster Mage, bummer. That card plays extremely well here because I just pitched my removal spell. They're snapping the Brain Surge. So they're going for efficiency next turn and raw advantage this turn. Still not spending my Force Negation on this. You can't make me do it. All right, come on, Prismatic Ending. LMAO. That card's sick. Well, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Bounce Snapcaster Mage, which feels horrible, but I also think I'm in somehow the correct position to be doing something like that. And seeing Snapcaster Mage makes me feel even better about bringing in that weirdo Surgical Extraction. All right, Snapcaster's back. Targeting Ponder. Ponder happens. They shuffled their library. They've seen a lot of cards in the last few turns, but Teferi is a haymaker in this mirror match. A lot of those cards are probably bad right now. Another Snapcaster, well, can't interact with that very well. And this tunes the narrative. Okay, this is a big turn to deliver one of those Wrath of the Skies that I left in the deck. That would be so big. Interesting. I could just fire Lorien Revealed. Plus Jace, bounces Snapcaster, Teferi survives, Jace dies, and I have a full grip. I could also just Brainstorm with Jace, try to hit the gas. I'm going to do that. Gas not delivered. If I put back Consign to Memory and Lorien Revealed, I could also plus Teferi, cast Lorien in the end step, let Jace die, figure out the rest later. Yeah, I'm going to put back Consign and Days Undoing, actually. And fetch. I still have one more look this turn at Wrath of the Skies off this Ponder. Red Blast and Tamiyo. Oh, wow. Okay, I could also just put two things in play. I could Brainstorm into... Wow, these are a lot of good cards. How do I want to play this? This is really important. If I keep this pile, how many cards have I drawn this turn? A million. Yeah, I activated a Jace. Never mind. Tamiyo is past the point of flipping. I can put Tamiyo into play to block and then Brainstorm up the Red Blast. Yeah, I'm actually doing that. Okay, Tamiyo showed up a little late to the party, but she's still welcome. And if they do something like Prismatic Ending the Tamiyo, I can flip her into a Planeswalker in response, and in the process of doing that, find Red Blast, and then they have to decide where the Snapcaster attacks are going to go, and I might get to keep a Planeswalker. Brainstorm, put back Ponder and Narset, because if I have to force this turn, I want to pitch Lorien, or Lorien's better than Ponder at this point. Put back Lorien and Narset. Tamiyo flips, flushed a card out, all part of the plan. Now, the best attack is one on each of these Planeswalkers. That clears the most, but I would happily just save Jace if they do split their attack, and they did. Destroy target blue permanent. The one attacking Jace, please. Tamiyo can die. She did so much there. Great job, Tamiyo. Thank you for your sacrifice. And I'm still holding Force Blue card, slam Narset next turn. Bounce the Snapcaster, full stability. They're still cracking fetch lands, though. Got spells to cast. Mystic Sanctuary targeting Ponder. This Narset on top of my deck is going to be really disappointing for that line. Brain Search now. All right, yeah, whatever. Go nuts. But Teferi cuts off half their deck, and Narset cuts off the other half. There's basically no cards left for them to play once those two Planeswalkers exist together. Especially if I'm holding up a Force in the background. Narset, activate, Prismatic Ending Surgical. Prismatic Ending means I don't have to bounce the Snapcaster. That's sick. Plus Teferi. And they're just scoping to that. Cool. Yeah, massively favored in these control mirrors with this build, but all this latent energy just kicking around, I would have rather been their deck versus Eldrazi. Kind of a fun showcase here. It's cool that we're in a phase of Legacy where we're thinking about specifically how to build Jeskai control again, and massively different splinters within that archetype. It's cool that we're thinking about that instead of just how to beat the Grief Mirror. On to the final round. I'm on the play in the final round. Positive record on the line. Island Ponder, baby. Opponent's on a mull of 5. And I still have Force Blue card even if I cast Ponder. I'm going to put Lorien in my hand and Tamiyo on top. If this ends up being a Swords to Plowshares matchup, and they're just on 5, my hand is insane. If this is a combo deck, and they went to 5 Force Blue cards, this is as good as it's going to get. Where's a Saga? Okay. Glad I have Wrath of the Skies around. Chrome Mox, okay. Exiling Fell the Profane. So is this Black Saga Storm? Are people still doing that? I'm going to Prismatic Ending the Chrome Mox because I don't think that card is getting better. Entomb, fascinating. I could force the Entomb. I'm not gonna. This deck is probably going to Entomb for Echo of Eons, and indeed it did. And if they come up with Lion's Eye Diamond this turn, I can force the Echo, and if they don't come up with LED this turn, I can Wrath of the Skies for 0, which kills the Urza Saga, and then they don't do anything. Okay, I'm going to attack with Tamiyo. Oh, I should have Wrathed first. I blew it. Donkey. Literally had everything in front of me and decided to be bad instead. Now I have an interesting decision to make because I could just let the Saga run its course and force the Echo and then still have Wrath and draw a card off Clue. And this was not the sequence I wanted, but here we are. If they're on 0 permanents and 0 cards in hand and I could force their Echo, I think I'm also going to win. But not really the plan I had. My bad. Yeah, they tutored Vexing Bauble, then drew a card with it. I mean, that was almost scary, but they can't play LED with Vexing Bauble in play. Okay, somehow got away with my shenanigans. This Mystic Sanctuary could pick up that Ponder. I think I do want that. Because that flips Tamiyo this turn. I draw the Ponder from the Clue. I cast the Ponder. That flips Tamiyo. Then we're plussing. I like a Brainstorm. I don't like all these white cards in my hand versus the deck I'm playing against. But if they take a turn off to play Vexing Bauble, that's great. If they have Mana Source, LED, Vexing Bauble, send the Echo, that's a game I can lose. This is also a devastating spot to have a deck with no real win cons in it. I'm going to cast Brainstorm. Put back Plow and Basic Plains. Plus Tamiyo. Play Flooded Strand, pass. I could have just picked up and cast Lorien revealed this turn. I'm going to start leaving up Hardcast Force, so I'm not worried about Vexing Bauble anymore. I'll get the Valk just in case I rip the win con. Drawing half my deck next turn seems pretty dope. And I also get to play Narset, which turns off their engine even if they do thread the needle here. Yeah, I'll grab a Force Will. They're just scooping to Narset. Cool. All right, so a mull to 5, and then I never even... I guess I did Prismatic Ending their Black Source. That might have collapsed what they were trying to do, but that's all I did. I never had to force, never had to sweep. Naked Sign is good. Pyroblast is good. Grafdigger's Cage is good. Surgical seems good enough. I don't like Back to Basics. Harbinger does kill Urza Saga, but with Wrath of the Skies, I'm not that worried about that. Deafening Silence has to just solo this deck. Celestial Purge, if this is the Bowmaster combo deck, this card's fine, but I'm not that worried about that. A Supreme Verdict comes out. I think all my Swords of Plowshares come out. I'm leaving in some number of endings in all of the Wraths, so I don't need to worry that much about Bowmaster. Cutting Stern Scolding. I don't really need to Undoing this deck. That is just a Shotgun Blast that ends the game, though, if we get into that dreg in the mid-game like we did that last game where I was not really ever going to win. But they were really never going to win, but I wasn't applying any pressure. Maybe one ending can go. Wrath does so much here. The Days Undoing versus the Ending is the last interesting decision here, I think, but I'm going to go with having my own proactive combo in. Okay, Force of Will is not enough to keep a hand on the strength of. I'm going to mulligan this. I will keep this one. I've already realized that I made a mistake. The ending should be in because we've seen Vexing Bauble. That was a loosey-goosey one. Lava Spur Boots tells me this deck does play Bowmaster as well. Oh, now I have that additional information. Tamiyo, get in there. Urza Saga. Carpet of Flowers. Strong. Not where I'm going to put my energy, but strong. Black in the Pool. Orcish Bowmaster. Can't counter it. Cool. Drew Force of Will after the fact. I'm going to ponder. Pyroblast seems fine. Brainstorm seems pretty risky. I think I have to play the Vista. There is a basic mountain in my deck if I have to Pyroblast this turn, but I can't afford to draw another Pyroblast and a Brainstorm over the next 2 turns. Those just are not good cards. Decline the Carpet mana. I took the Carpet mana second main. Making a Construct. I'm going to get a basic... this is tough. I guess it's basic Plains here. Because Wrath is one of my best draws, and I want to play to that. Okay, do I want another clue, or do I want Tamiyo to be able to absorb some damage? I think Tamiyo is better on blocking duty, as horrific as that is. I actually can't Pyroblast this turn. I just realized Flooded Strand doesn't do that. For some reason in my head, I thought I needed a blue source to cast Force of Negation, but Volcanic Island literally is that. I kind of need the opponent to send on a Reckless combo turn now. A Dark Ritual happens. This creature draw, the permanent draw, this is the pivot where Wrath of the Skies is bonkers, but also I don't have that card. Okay, I'm going to fetch before they tutor. I don't think they're going to get Hithing Needle here, but in case they got that idea in their head, not interested. I can hardcast Force of Negation if they try to send a combo, but there's no LED in play here, so tutoring Bauble is pretty awkward. They're tutoring LED straight up. Please send it on the combo. Vexing Bauble. Okay, sweet. Hardcast Force of Negation's a massive blowout if they walk into it. They could also just bash me for a lethal amount of damage. I think I just block the biggest one, take the least amount of damage. Okay, discarded Echoes, Force of Negation on the hardcast. And now if I draw Wrath of the Skies off the top, we can do it. Wrath of the Skies! Not it. Okay, GG. Okay, versus now knowing that they have Bowmasters in. And I should have had the Prismatic Ending in knowing about the baubles anyway. Get a couple of plows in here, or I could just not do that. Is also reasonable. Yeah, 3 Ending, 3 Wrath. I don't think Tamiyo's bad enough to cut. I don't think Jace is bad enough to cut. Also, it's one of 2 win conditions, as we've discussed. Maybe I don't need all my Pyroblasts in. I could just have 1 plow and then some Pyroblasts. Like, this is now 7 spot removal spells on top of my 4 Force of Wills to answer the 4 Bowmasters they play. I think I'm okay just letting it ride with that math. I like this hand. Gonna keep it. It doesn't have a force, but I don't know if they're just gonna send it blind after seeing how much interaction I play. And I have a force anyway. Magic's easy when you play Ponder. Urza Saga, Lotus Petal, another Petal. How big are we going? Do we have the Bauble? Not fighting over Carpet. Yeah, Bauble's a sicko. Bauble being in the deck almost makes me want to Force of Will Lion's Eye Diamond before the Bauble's even in play. That's pretty scary. There's a land on top of my deck right now. I'm just going to pass. They can use Carpet mana to make a Construct. Mana has been generated. Construct's been generated. I'm going to Brainstorm in the end step. If they Bowmaster off of a Dark Ritual, whatever. Okay, Teferi can bounce this Construct because they had to main phase it. That actually rules. I could fetch 2 basic Plains and try to play the game like that. How does the game look after that point? If I put back probably Consign to Memory, Consign and Lorien, keep the Brainstorms around, and the extra land. Or I could keep the Lorien, get rid of the land, Consign Island are gone. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Basic Plains, Ponder, gonna get another Plains, It's a little awkward to play this way, but I don't want the carpets to run amok. Veil of Summer. This lets them keep their construct and keep their saga. Why do they care so much about this? Is this their only win con, or do they just, or it's because it doesn't work? I mean, they could have main phase veiled and then comboed off next turn. All right, I'm going to force this. Pitching Brainstorm. And I'm going to bounce the construct. Bouncing the saga is actually an interesting choice there, but then Teferi just dies. So I don't know. We'll see what happens here. I could die. If they go like make black, tutor LED, Bowmaster you, could end right now. Hopefully fetching the basics buys me the time I needed. Or hopefully from resources this low, they can't do everything. Like maybe they can successfully echo here with protection, but maybe that doesn't win the game. I don't know. They haven't played a land since turn 1. They used Lotus Petal for a Veil of Summer that got countered. And the carpets kind of function as land drops, so it's not like they haven't developed at all. There's a blue in the pool, and floating a colorless in response to the second carpet activation. All right, blue, colorless in the pool. What do they do with that? Mox Opal. Are we just casting Echo from hand? Still a mana away from that. All right, now it could happen. Yeah, this Echo from hand is sick because the LED stays in play, and then they can Echo from the graveyard as well this turn. Oh, this is 2 shots. Carpet's been used, though. I was just floating black. All right. All right. Well, I don't have a force right now, but I echoed into 1. And I have desilenced Narset. It's a pretty good spread. Bowmaster does clean up Teferi here. Dark Ritual. There's no Storm Count displayed, which might just be because I don't have a Storm spell face up. It might be displaying for them. I don't actually know how Magic Online processes that, because sometimes there's definitely a Storm Count that's over here, and it's not there right now, despite a combo deck doing stuff. My best outcome is that if they just LED and refire this Echo and go Hellbent into Force and Negation. Opponent asked, bargain on Beseech to stop by Teferi. Yes. Should I lie? Should I lie? I'm not going to lie. Yes, that does stop that. They have Beseech in their hand. Or they're a master of misdirection. Okay, we've got a Diabolic Tutor on the stack. I don't think I'm fighting over this. I mean, they could go land Bowmaster here, ping the Teferi, and then we're gaming, and Force of Negation doesn't stop that. Force of Negation does stop follow-up. Oh, now the Storm card has appeared. Interesting. Interesting. I wonder if it kicks in at 5, or if they just got access to a Storm card that Magic Online told me about. Oh, wow, they're passing. That rules for me. I'm pretty sure if I go Deafening Silence Narset, the game ends. Oh, I'm pretty sure also if I go Wrath of the Skies, the game ends. Okay, I have exactly enough mana to do everything I want to do here. Well, I can't Narset, but I can go 1, 2, 3, Wrath, which takes out their 2 carpets and their Mox. And then I could play Deafening Silence and hold up Force. Go. If they go land Bowmaster, which would surprise me because they could have done that last turn and they didn't, they could make a game out of this still, but that was a big turn. Saga resolved. And they do have a Bowmaster. Okay. I mean, weird. Did they just top deck the Bowmaster, or did they top deck the Saga? Where did that come from? Because most of these things could have happened last turn. That's interesting. All right, Tamiyo can block the busted rules text block. Narset, activate Prismatic Ending that I could cast as an instant. Now Tamiyo doesn't have to block. I've already cast my non-creature spell this turn, or my creature spell. I still have my non-creature spell, are the words I'm trying to spit out of my head right now. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass with Prismatic Ending available. As they get 1 spell, I get 1 spell. Bowmaster's really the only card I'm worried about here. They can't LED plus Echo in the same turn. This Flooded Strain can get Wrath of the Skies back from Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, they're going to go to combat first and force the action on my spell. They're going after Narset is interesting. A Narset on 2 and Narset on 1 are only different in this world because of a second Bowmaster pinging her down. And they're not going after Teferi. Yeah, I'm just going to let Narset go to 1. So I could set up this Wrath of the Skies. I can fetch main phase, put Wrath on top, cast Ponder, Wrath is in my hand with Teferi up. And in that world, I can Wrath for X equals 3. Yeah, I think if I just hold up Wrath for 3 going into their turn, we mop their permanents, but that breaks the Deafening Silence. Ew, that's a little shitty. Yeah, I need to kill the Bowmaster now, though, because I want to ponder and still have some Planeswalkers left afterwards. Plus Teferi, fetch, Mystic Sanctuary, target Wrath of the Skies, cast Ponder. There's one there anyway. Cruel Fate. Okay, I will take the Wrath, and that was my spell for the turn. Though 0 is the correct number now. Yeah, I'm just going to play Tamiyo and pass. I get to keep Deafening Silence, keep my blocker, and 0 will mess up all their shiznot. I just have to do this in the upkeep before the Saga triggers to get any bigger. I guess I can't cast spells this turn anyway, so I might as well sink energy into the Wrath. But I'm only going to do it for 0. Yeah, this way the Saga can't poop out a 1. I love watching 4 permanents go into my opponent's graveyard and 0 of mine. I'd be impressed if they bring it back from here. Ooh, an Abrupt Decay. That's fun. They can still not Narset, and I still have Force up. Now I have 2 Forces up. I think I'm in good shape here. But now I have to deal 20 or exile their deck with Jace, which is, like I said, continues to be the hard part. Draw a card with Clue. Cast Ponder. This flips Tamiyo. Prismatic Ending Lorien Revealed. I mean, Lorien Revealed kind of rips. I'm going to keep that. And I still have Wrath for up to 3 available. I can hardcast Force of Negation and pitch cast Force of Will. Teferi could draw cards next turn. And banking that energy off the last Wrath of the Sky is actually a big deal here because now I could kill Bowmaster where I wouldn't be able to otherwise. Oh yeah. The Abrupt Decay mob is coming for me. Okay. They're making a game out of it. I respect it. Plus Teferi, plus Tamiyo. And my plan is to Lorien Revealed at instant speed and try to find a win condition. Or another lock piece. LED, Fellmire, Mox Opal. There is an Echo in the graveyard from earlier. I can Force of Negation this Veil. Or, interesting, I could Prismatic Ending the LED, which could force them to pop it if they need this mana, and then I counter the Veil. Sick. I cast Force of Negation on Veil, and then I can Force of Will, which does cost me my beloved Lorien Revealed, but at least I win. GG's. Yeah, they did make a run out of that at the end. Positive record with Jeskai, not energy control, Jeskai Narset Days Undoing, classic War of the Spark Jeskai. Wrath of the Skies was a heater. When I could cast it, it basically soloed that Death and Taxes matchup, made a mockery out of a matchup that used to be close. It was useful versus Storm, which is nice out of a anti-creature card from a control deck. Hitting Carpet of Flowers and Urza Saga are things that we have needed in our blue decks in the past, and Wrath does all of that. We also saw Wrath cost 6 mana to do anything versus Eldrazi in this particular build, and I died with 4 or 5 mana in play. Not useful. We also saw classic Jeskai problem of I have complete control of the game, but no chance at a win condition for a while. And then my opponent did something like draw 2 Abrupt Decays into a Veil-protected combo turn after they appeared to be hardlocked 4 turns earlier because I just wasn't applying pressure. Like, that sort of thing matters. I think main deck back to basics is necessary here. I mentioned my complicated relationship with that card, but I think in this deck it makes a lot of sense, and you just board it out if it's bad, you pitch it to force if it's bad. The flex slots, clearly, the number of Wraths you play, the number of endings, what your win conditions are, how many Tamiyos, that one of Stern Scolding, how many Force of Negations you play, how many back to basics. You could play 1 even, but 2 made a lot of sense. In the 1 Eldrazi matchup we played, like digging for the second one on that turn after they killed the first was literally do or die, but even having the out was exciting. I hope to play the energy build soon so I can compare them both in my head, but this was a lot of fun. This felt like I was playing Legacy in 2019 again, Fresh off War of the Spark, Narset Teferi back to basics, all permanents in my deck. Feels good. John, thank you for the opportunity to play this. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.